Before I get started, I just want to acknowledge the great work that you're doing here, giving back to the community and sharing with those less fortunate than ourselves. And that's important to me. This past summer, my son is 15 years old and going to prep school in the States. I insisted that he give back in some way or form. And so we volunteered at St. Andrew's Church in the Sunday night suppers for the homeless people. And it was really eye-opening for all of us. And it just would not be possible without people such as yourselves giving back to the community. So thank you very much for that. I'm a full-time radiation oncologist and associate professor of medicine at Halifax University. And I specialize in breast, prostate, and pediatric cancer. But my passion is actually to empower people affected by a cancer diagnosis with an integrated and practical approach that gives them the best chance of healing of levels of body, mind, and spirit. And as part of our charity, I've given hundreds of talks to diverse audiences, talking about the science of the mind-body connection, about the power of meditation and mindfulness, and teaching skills like how to reframe very difficult thoughts. And I try to remind people of their connection to spirit through offering stories from the cancer ward and from people who have attended our workshops and weekend retreats. Which brings me to the story of our charity. When I first arrived here in the mid-1990s, many of my patients actually shook with fear, during that first consultation. And so I joined with a social worker at that time and organized a weekly support group. And it was really beneficial for the people who were there, but we couldn't get the numbers, couldn't find a time that worked for people. And then I had one of these incredible blessings in my life, meeting my very dear friend, Dr. Timothy Walker, who's a Halifax-based psychotherapist and a specialist expert in mindfulness-based stress reduction, and really a brilliant teacher. And so we kind of combined our talents and envisioned and actually brought to fruition the first Skills for Healing weekend retreat in 1999. And it was a totally magical experience, seeing 50 strangers, all types and stages of cancer, going from this kind of furrowed-browed, kind of nervous Friday evening to that transformation Sunday, relax, at peace, that kind of envelope of kind of peace and love in the room. And I just thought to myself, that was a once-in-a-lifetime experience. But it's actually happened every single retreat since. And we've done 38 retreats in 22 cities across Canada and abroad. The feedback from the retreats was so overwhelmingly positive that we aspired to offer that teaching with a much wider audience. And so we created a website and we began to film the retreats and the talks and began to webcast and so on. And we interviewed people before, during, and after the various events. We wrote a book, sold 3,000 copies, 3 full-length documentaries, all up onto the web now. And in 2012 alone, over 40,000 views from people in 6 continents. And so how do we do that? How do we do that without fundraising? Well, first of all, it's really been hand to mouth. So we really do rely on grants and donations from people to kind of do that next project. And I've also donated all of my speaking fees to the charity to help fund the programming. And to date, that's totaled more than $60,000. And through book donations and people volunteering, it's really kind of worked out, just kind of magically continued to help. So the proposal that I have now for 100 Women Who Care is to create a dying and healing program here in Halifax. We would offer a comprehensive service to people with terminal cancer and their families in HRM, which would complement the care that people get from the medical system and the palliative care teams. And elements of that program would be individualized, but would include intensive counseling, meditation, visualization, and expressive therapies. The program would start with a weekend retreat, and then we would offer a monthly support group for a couple of years with extra sessions for family members and friends here in Halifax. Volunteer participants would be videotaped to create a short documentary about their experience, which would ultimately help to demystify the dying process and to promote hospice in Halifax. And I really think the flip of accepting the fact that we're all going to die is that life is very short and precious for each and every one of us. So thank you very much for considering our organization. And again, thank you so much for your generosity of spirit.